Dude, here's what happened.
Dude, here's what happened!
Episode 1. Episode number 1. The origin story, if you will, of Matt King. Matt King comedy, whatever you want to say. I look absolutely enormous at this angle. I understand that. You're right if you're thinking that as well. It's not a good angle. You know, we're going to sit up a little bit, actually, and see if that... Nope, still terrible. But anyway, this is a new podcast, and it's just going to be stories about things that happened, dude. That's why it's called Dude, Here's What Happened. And each week we're going to cover different stuff, whether that's what's going on during that week or what I did this week or just an old favorite story. And I want to have some guests on here. And the good thing is my studio is a 2014 Chevy Sonic. So unfortunately there's no room for a guest, but we're going to try to squeeze them in here sometime because I think that would be absolutely hilarious to have somebody else in this vehicle with me and have them in this vehicle with me on purpose. That would be crazy. But what I want to get into today, obviously, today's topic is the origin story. It's the origin of this thing, not the podcast. We just talked about the podcast, but the origin of my online presence. All right. So I've been doing comedy for a little bit, and that's a story for another time. Doing some stand-up. And so, of course, I had all the social media stuff set up to try and get myself out there and whatnot. And I was working a sales job as a person who sells, I'm not going to say the brand name or anything, but a person that sells motors and engines, I guess is what you would say, and engine parts. And if there's two things that I know about in this world, neither one of them is what I was selling. And so people would call me, and I was more confused than they were, but I would just take the notes and go ask somebody that knew, and I would be like, let me call you back. Let me look into that. And I had no idea I didn't even know what it was that I was writing down sometimes. Somebody could have just called and been like, the flux capacitor's out in my tractor. And I'd be like, right on, man. Let me look into that, and I'll see if I can get you one. Not sure if we carry those still. I don't know. I was bluffing most of the time. But anyway, there was only a couple sales guys there. And business wasn't great, so I got laid off. I'd only been there for like 6 months. And I'm divorced. I'm a single dad. I've joint custody of my kid, and so half the time it's just me, half the time it's me and the kiddo. And didn't have a lot going for me at that point. I had comedy, which was yielding me somewhere in the area of $25 to $50 every other week. Not to brag, but that's what I had going for me. And so I had to go through all the unemployment stuff, which is a nightmare, and I wouldn't wish that on anybody. And it doesn't actually help that much anyway. But I had to do that, and I thought, you know what, this is it. This is where I hit the ground running with stand-up comedy. This is how legends are born. And this is my big push to be the next top stand-up comedian. And so I took to social media, and my thoughts were, I'm going to blow up on social media. I'm going to be a social media superstar. And then people are going to be like, what? He does stand-up too? We should definitely go and see him. I'm going to be selling out tours. And it didn't happen at all. I was on TikTok. I had started to figure some things out. I had one video when I reached 100 followers. I made a sarcastic video about how cool I am because I had 100 followers. And for whatever reason, the algorithm liked that video. And I ended up with like 6,000 followers from that. And then I felt pretty cool. And all my friends were jealous of me. They're like, dude, you have 6,000 followers? And I was like, yeah, it's pretty much like people are going to start recognizing me soon. And it's so funny to think about 6,000 followers when there's like, whatever, 8 billion people on the planet. 6,000 followers spread out in that 8 billion people. Nobody is going to recognize you at all. Like, that's crazy. But I felt like I was, maybe we want to put that on my TikTok. I don't know if you know, I got like 6,000 followers. Not to brag, no big deal. It's just what I do. And I would bet a good 3,000 of those were not real people. They were burner accounts or bot accounts or whatever you want to say. But I felt pretty cool, and I felt like I was doing the dang thing. So then I started going live on TikTok, and I was like, this is how I'm going to reach my people. I got to get out to the fan base. I got to let them know what I got cooking, because they all care. And they didn't. And so I would do these lives. Like I said, I didn't have a job, and my kid was only here every other week. So on the weeks that I did not have a kid here, sometimes I would have a show at night, but I didn't have anything for most of the day, most of the time. Even when my kid was here, once she went to school, it was like, here we are. I couldn't afford to go anywhere or do anything, so I was just down in my basement, TikTok living, and doing pretty poorly. I think the most people I ever had in a live room was like 8 or 9 maybe. I don't know. And a lot of that was the let's help each other grow type people. So they were like, I'm going to come into your live. I'm going to give you like some gifts, and then I'm going to leave, but I'm going to invite all my friends. And so you had people that were trying to grow their lives, so they couldn't stay in your live because they had to go do their live. And so, yeah, I'd have like 8 people in there. And, I had some fun. I'd play some music maybe, and just kind of talk to people, maybe bring some people up into the little boxes to hang out or whatever. It's a pretty lonely time in my life. And, I don't know, I would try to be like funny. I would try to be, me, and get like, I've always kind of thought about branding. Like, branding has been important to me, so I'm trying to like brand things from my videos and stuff like that. And when I do stand-up, I do 100% clean, family-friendly stand-up, which most people think is synonymous with boring and not funny. I get it. I've seen a lot of clean comedians that are not good, but there are some that are good. And I think that you can do it because a lot of people don't think of, when they think clean, they think like everything is super wholesome and like on the up. Like, you can take clean comedy and go dark with it. Like, you can, I've talked about some dark places that I've been in my life. And sometimes it does really well, and sometimes it just makes everybody really sad. And those aren't good times. But all that to say, I'm a clean comedian. I do pretty well. And I don't touch actual politics at all, as it is so polarizing. Regardless of what side you're on, people are not friends with people because they are this side or that side or whatever. And I don't like that. I like people to be friends and hang out and have a good time. And that's all I'm concerned about, is everyone having a good time. So I would not touch anything political. Also, it's kind of like, I don't know. I think it seems like it's all been done as far as like writing a joke about this or that. And if it's a current event thing, it's like you spend all that time writing a joke, you get to do it like once the news cycle moves so fast that you do that joke one time and it's old news and nobody knows what you're talking about. You have to explain it and it takes too much time. It's just a waste of time. So I would not touch politics. And basically because I did not want to alienate anybody by them thinking I thought this way or that way. I don't want to bring that into a situation where my goal in comedy is to just make people laugh and have a good time. So I stuck to that with my content and with lives and everything. But in my TikTok lives, I've been kind of messing around with playing with different voices and stuff. And I started to get a pretty good impression of Donald Trump. And I thought it was good. But you know how sometimes you think you have a good impression and then you do it in front of somebody and they go, "What are you doing?" And you're like, "Yeah, that was the guy, right?" And they're like, "Yeah, it was." And you're like, "Dang it." So I wanted to try it in front of other people. So I had my, all 8 people in my live room. And I was like, I'm going to try this out on them. And there was a gift that you could get in a TikTok live. And that was my whole thing was I need to do these lives. I need to grow my presence. I need to get popular so that I can get booked places. But also, you can get gifts in a live. And that turns into money. And boy, did I clean up on that. Not really. Because it seems like everybody else that's in a live room also needs money. So they're not throwing around a lot of gifts. Especially if you're doing it like 2 times a day, which is entirely too much, which is what I was doing. But again, I had nothing going for me. I had to try and make some cash. And I was probably knocking down about $2-3 a week in live rewards, I think. I was doing the thing. But there was a gift that was called the Popular Vote. And for whatever reason, that stuck out to me as a place where I could try this impression. So it would pop up and I'd be like, "Oh, popular vote. Listen, guys, the rules in this live are if you win the popular vote, you gotta gloat." And I don't think they knew what that meant. But again, I was always trying to brand stuff. I was trying to come up with catchphrases and whatnot. And so they would throw a couple of those popular votes at me. Those were, I think, like a penny each. And you get half of what the monetary value of your gift is or whatever. So, I'm making half a cent on each one of these. Big time. So the popular vote comes in and I would just kind of go, they said we could win the popular vote. They said we would never win the popular vote, but we're doing it. We're doing it time and time again. We're doing it multiple times, even in one day. And no one's ever done that before. No one's ever won the popular vote as much as I have. And people would laugh. And so they'd start throwing more of those popular votes. And I'm like, I just got 10 popular votes. That's like 5 cents. If I do this for nonstop for the rest of the week, I could have like $3. And so I did. So I tried to keep doing that. But it became a thing. Like if I would pop into somebody else's live or I would, do a live or whatever, people would start throwing those popular votes and trying to get me to do that. And then that's where I realized that, okay, there's something there. I think I have a decent impression. And I just kept working on it and workshopping it in there. And people didn't get tired of it. They would ask me questions and want me to answer it that way. They'd be like, "So what'd you have for dinner today?" And of course, I had McDonald's, the greatest eating establishment on planet Earth. That's where and I would just kind of do that and people enjoyed it. They had fun with it. So then I started to try and think of a way that I could work it into a stand-up situation. And I did. And so that I was nervous the first time I took it up on stage. I was like, man, I hope that people don't think that I'm trying to push one way or another politically, because I'm not. And I don't want people to feel like I don't like them or that they don't like me or whatever. And so what I would do is I would still to this day when I do the Trump impression, I never mention anything that actually has to do with real life policy or politics or anything. It's literally just a character impression. But what I do is I'll say stuff that sounds like something he would say, and sometimes I might sprinkle a little some mannerisms in there, some little Trumpisms, if you will, things that he tends to say a lot, like a lot of people is one of his favorite ones, or he might say, a lot of people are asking me, they're saying, sir, people always ask him, sir, whatever, or can you believe it? Like you've never seen before. That's what we're doing, and we're doing it. We're doing it all the time. Just things like that. And so you can say literally anything, and it sounds like a speech that he would give, like just anything. Like I had a Butterfinger today. Today I ate a Butterfinger. A lot of people don't go for the Butterfinger. They might go for a Nestle's Crunch or a Snickers or maybe some Reese's Cups, but I went for the Butterfinger. That's what I went for. And The Simpsons, they had the Butterfinger Babies commercials back in the day. Can you believe they called it in 2016? They had called that I would be the president in 2016. The Simpsons, smart people the Simpsons were. You can just say anything and it turns into a Trump speech, basically. So I started to do that in some of my stand-up stuff, and it actually started performing very well with the crowd that was there. And I was like, this is awesome. I got some new stuff that I know is... And so I was working in where I could. And I was like, man, I want to make like a funny video where I could just kind of like throw that in there somehow. And I'd been in my head, I had this idea about like someone who's like an interpreter for Trump or something like that, you know what I mean? Because people was like, what's he talking about, or whatever. And I was like, the Trump translator, that sounds funny. And I just kind of let it go. I was like, that would be a fun thing to do sometime. Sometime when I have some time, I need to think more about that, because I have ridiculous ADHD. I have probably one of the craziest cases of ADHD, like that they should probably be writing medical journals about. Like I cannot pay attention. I interrupted myself in the sentence where I was just talking about how I have ADHD. It's pretty bad. I'm medicated right now, so it's not as bad as usual, but so I have ideas all the time for stuff that I want to make content about, or I want to write a joke about, or whatever. And if I don't like immediately like open up the notes app on my phone and write like put down the idea, it's gone forever. And even though I do that sometimes, it's still gone forever. And then I'm just looking through my notes and I'm like, what? This is just a statement and no explanation. So God knows how many jokes and videos have been lost forever in the ADHD wonderland of my mind. But anyway, Trump translator was one of those things that I was just like, I don't know. I don't know how I would do it, but it sounds like it would be funny. And one of these days I'm going to do it. And it just, I just bounced around in my brain for weeks, maybe months. I don't know. And then I was at my girlfriend's house the one day, and I was going to mow her grass for her. And ADHD struck again, because instead of starting the mower and pushing it, I was like, now's a great time to make the Trump translator. Because that's how my brain works for some reason. So I'm standing in her garage. She's probably like, where did he go? He was going to mow the grass. It's not a big yard, but it's just like I've disappeared. I'm standing in her garage, and I'm just like, I'm going to make, a lot of people are probably mowing the grass right now, and that's probably something that will relate to most people. And I was like, okay, here's what we'll do. We'll just do how to speak Trump, and then we'll say a random thing, and then I'll turn it into Trump. side of that. How to speak Trump. Saturday, probably should mow the grass. Trump translation. And then I just did the Trump impression and started talking. Literally just in my brain said, say stuff about grass, and it's that time of year. A lot of people are mowing the grass, and it's a real problem. There's a lot of grass out there. I know more about grass than anybody. A lot of people don't know the things that I know about grass, and we're looking into what we can do about it. Some people are suggesting we attack it militarily, and we haven't completely gotten through looking into that, but we do have some technology that would completely eviscerate the grass. It would be completely gone. It would be devastated. In Springfield, Ohio, they're eating the grass. Can you believe people are eating the grass? It's crazy. It's ridiculous. It's sad. We don't eat grass. And I just went off saying random stuff about grass. Typed up the description, posted it to Instagram. I had like a little over 200 followers. And I put in some hashtags. And I thought, well, maybe this will do something. And I went and mowed the grass. And I came back from mowing the grass and I had like 1,000 views, which on Instagram was huge for me. And I'm like, okay, might be something to this. Then I looked a little bit later, and then we're getting like 5,000 views, and I'm like, all right. A little bit later, 10,000. A little bit later, 100,000. And I'm like, this is insane. And people are following me like crazy on it, and I'm like, I don't know what's happening, but I like it. I like it a lot. And I posted it across platforms. And I think that video... that was about 6 months ago. And I think that video, last I looked, was over 30 million views on Instagram, over 5 million views on Facebook, over 5 million views on TikTok, over 5 million views on YouTube. And that was insane. So it just organically grew all of those social media outlets, or whatever you want to call them. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is insane. Like, I have like, 10,000 followers or whatever. And it just kept going up and going up and going up and going. And I'm like, man, that's pretty cool. I've never had a viral video before. And then people were like, you should do another one. And I was like, you're right. I probably should. I don't know if anyone's going to watch it because, lightning doesn't strike the same place twice. And so I did How to Speak Trump #2. And then I don't even remember what #2 is at this point. And I did the same formula. And I posted it. And I'm like, all right, cool. And so I was doing like once a week I would put out. And I try to keep to that. Once or twice a week I'll put out a Trump translator video. I'm up to 33 now. And sometimes I'll do random Trump content because that seems to be what people find the most hilarious. And it bummed me out a little bit that I would post stand-up clips and, I've got all these followers and they're like, nah, don't care. And I'm like, But what's crazy is that I had gotten so many views. I'd gotten so spoiled with what I was getting on these Trump translator videos. That I'd be like, yeah, I put up a stand-up clip and it only got 20,000 views, which is insane to think about. Like, that I ever thought that someone would watch me doing stand-up 20,000 times, or 20,000 people would see that. That's like a full arena of people that see it. Now, in the grand scheme of the whole population of the world, that's not many, but still, 20,000, that's a lot. So, I wasn't like bitter or anything like that. I was a little disappointed that it didn't do better because that's what I want to do. That's the only thing I want to do with my life is stand-up comedy. But I also love making stupid videos, and I've done that ever since I had access to any kind of video camera. I always made stupid videos. So the whole thing is a lot of fun for me. And it's starting to benefit me a little bit, and that's even better because I never thought that it would ever benefit anybody, especially me. So then I had just finished doing a stand-up show, and it went really well. The crowd liked it. It was a small show. There wasn't, there's probably 40, 50 people, something like that, but they were all really pumped afterwards. And that felt good. And I've like I said, I started with like 200 followers on Instagram. I had 6,000 bots on TikTok, and like, I don't know, like a couple hundred people on Facebook, and a lot of them were family and friends and whatnot, and not much going on YouTube. And now I have over 21,000 subscribers on YouTube. I don't remember. I have, I think 70 or 80,000 on TikTok, like 90 some thousand on Facebook, and over 310,000 on Instagram. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying, like, it's crazy that in 6 months that's what happened, and I never expected that. But I was hoping that people would start recognizing me when I was doing stand-up and whatever. And the 40, 50 people at that show, no one had ever heard of me before, which is fine. I don't mind meeting new people and showing my craft to them. But they were all pretty psyched about it. And so I have like business cards that have my link tree on it that takes you to all my social media. So hopefully they would check out my content after that. And I was like, man, I do not have any content ideas to post. Like, this is not good. And I had monetized on a social media platform, and it had been going well. And then that month was just dry. Like, I had nothing. It's like nothing was getting enough to really yield any kind of monetization. And I was kind of bummed, but I was like, it's ups and downs or whatever. And I can't think of anything creative to put on social media. And I was like, well, I did that like Trump translator. Sometimes when I'm doing stand-up, I'll do Trump translator live. When I say, somebody yell something out and I'll translate it. And I had done that at that show. And I was like, I don't know, I'm just going to throw that up. Stand-up clips never do very well for me. I'm just going to throw that up on Instagram tomorrow or whatever, and that'll buy me some time because at least I have content. And that thing flew for some reason. It went really well across all platforms again. And I think it's at like 3 million views on Instagram now. That was last month, and that felt awesome because not only was it my content, but it was me doing stand-up that people were getting to see, and that felt pretty incredible and pretty fulfilling, and I was super pumped about it. And I just want to say, like, on a serious note, to everybody out there that does follow me, if you don't follow me, look me up on social media and follow me, Matt.KingComedy or Matt King Comedy or Matt King, depending on what platform you're on. Or you can search the Trump translator. That'll usually pop it up. But thank you to everybody that follows me and that watches my stuff. It's not lost on me. It will never be lost on me. I have had a couple people actually show up at a stand-up show that go, I know you. I've seen you. Oh my gosh. And that is the coolest feeling that I've ever had. Like, to be noticed for something that I made by a complete stranger. It was a cool experience, and that'll never be lost on me. And if you do come to a show and you see me in person or whatever, and you want to meet me, come say hey, come tell me that you see me on social media or whatever. We'll get a picture, we'll hang out, we'll talk. I am never gonna not have time for people that enjoy what I'm pouring my heart and soul into. That's just never gonna be the case. And I love all you guys, and thank you so much for tuning in and checking out the first ever. Dude, here's what happened. Episode 1, baby. The origin story is in the books. Come back next week. We'll have another story or a couple stories. And you never know. We may have a guest pop in from here or there. The studio's a Chevy Sonic. We can go get the people. Maybe I just pick somebody random up and be like, hey, you don't know me, but you're on my podcast. And they might call the cops or whatever, but that's good TV. So thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. I'm going to post the video to YouTube, and I'm going to put the podcast wherever I can get the podcast up, Spotify, and wherever you can find podcasts. That's where it's going to be. Please follow if you're watching on YouTube. Subscribe. Leave a comment. Ask me a question in the comments. Maybe I'll address some of those in the future. And I just really appreciate all you guys. And now you know, dude. Here's what happened.
Dude, here's what happened!